Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome back to Life Simplified. We'll be discussing how to stay safe when spending time in the great outdoors this summer. This summer is a wonderful time enjoying the outdoors with friends and loved ones. It's important to take extra precautions in the summer to avoid skin cancer and dehydration. Hotter weather makes it even more crucial to stay hydrated. Heat exhaustion, heat strokes are preventable but serious health issues. Welcome back, ladies. I'm glad we're here today together. So we're going to kind of get in a couple of discussion questions. So one, I want to know, how many of you have been burnt from the sun?
Never. So many times.
It's like, yeah, do you want to count? Because I don't know that I have one.
A lot of times we don't prevent it. Sometimes we forget to prevent it. And as growing up, as I was researching this topic, especially for sun safety, I was thinking about the baby oil and iodine.
I was going to say, when I grew up, it was the baby oil. Mm-hmm. We laid out with baby oil.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Well, we had the Hawaiian Tropics tanning oil.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's SPF 4. It's great.
Yes.
Oh, so bad.
Yes.
So bad.
All the things we did in our teen years.
It's just like when I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh wow, about every year I burn some point in time, and it's just because it happens, you know. And you think, oh, the sun's not out today, so you're not going to get burnt. But guess what? It happens.
I remember my mom putting zinc on us, and like you had that zinc nose.
Yeah.
And I used to be so mad about it, and then now I'm like, well, hey, that might be a good idea.
You look like a lifeguard.
And then it's also funny, then you got the white streak where, you know, you didn't put it on anywhere else too. Also, have any of you ever been burnt even with sunscreen?
Yes, because I did not reapply it.
Yes, or I think my husband would attest to this. The spray sunscreen sometimes doesn't apply evenly, and if you don't rub it in, you may have stripes or designs that you didn't bargain for. And I'm not saying I'm guilty, but maybe I am.
That it does happen. I agree with you. I personally like the lotion type better. But my sister, a lot of times we go to the beach together, she'd always use the spray, and I'd always stick to my lotion type, and they would always burn. So it happens. Is there a certain type of brand of suntan lotion that you prefer over the other? Have you found throughout your years, like, this is the one that I like the best?
Not necessarily a brand, but I have found for myself and kids, I'm really big about your face and keeping your face out of the sun and not burnt. And I like a sunscreen stick because it's easier to get on the kids. And with the lotion, sometimes it gets in your eyes and they don't like that, and it's harder to get them to reapply it. But with the stick, the older ones can do it by themselves, and they're even good about helping their younger brother with it. And then I use it also because it's smaller and I can keep it in my purse or my bag, and I kind of always have it with me.
I wondered, my youngest asked for a sunscreen stick the other day, and I wondered why she wanted that. I got one, but I don't know how she has used it. But face, that makes a lot of sense, because I thought, what are you going to do with this?
Yeah. We got a stick for our son because he hates sunscreen, which again, he's small, but we seem like that works. And we also, my mother-in-law actually got us a little, like a spongy roller. And you put the sunscreen in the top, and then it rolls on, and that has made life so much easier. And I don't remember the brand, but it just holds it, and it just rolls it on, and he thinks it's cool, so it helps it go a little faster.
That is really cool. I'm gonna have to look for one of those.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I'm gonna get online and try to find that.
I like my daughter's talking about the stick. She does that for her face as well, but she's also very allergic to different ones. So she has to use a certain brand, because it does break her out, especially around her face area. But her eyes, underneath her eyes, get so red, and it's like, don't understand why. But then we found out that it is because it's the sunscreen. So there's only a certain brand that she can use. According to the CDC, in 2020, 77,230 new cases of melanoma of the skin was reported, and 8,214 people died of this cancer. For more than 100,000 people, 20 new melanoma of the skin case were reported, and 2 people died of this cancer. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in the United States, exceeding only by heart disease. 1 of every 5 deaths in the United States is due to cancer. So we got to make sure that we are not one of that percentage, because we can prevent far as skin cancer by either, using certain types of sunscreen, also protecting your skin by certain types of clothes if you're outside. And we're going to go into further far as more tips of how we can prevent not getting cancer. How many of you all have been to the tanning bed?
No comment.
Definitely guilty.
Yes.
Definitely guilty.
It's been a while.
Yes, a long while.
long while, but I am guilty of that.
Yeah, y'all can look at me and tell I'm white as a ghost. So, I don't go. But I used to think my mindset was, I got to go get a tan before summer comes so I don't burn.
Yeah, you got to get your base, right?
Right.
Wasn't that the thing?
Yeah. And that's not the case.
No.
So that is, and you know what? And not having a tan is A-okay too. So tanning is the skin's response to UV lights, and tanning does not prevent skin cancer. So whenever you think that you need to get a tan first, it doesn't help. You still can get far as skin cancer. Just protecting ourselves and our skins is really what we need to do. Like I said a while ago, wearing certain clothes, do you guys cover up? Like if you're outside?
Something that I've just recently started doing is the long sleeves, really thin shirts, and I don't know exactly what they're called, but they've got the UV protection in them. And I found one, I actually purchased my own. I had been wearing my husband's, and they just conveniently left his closet and went into mine. But on our honeymoon, I found one and I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and purchase my own. And then since then, I have purchased my own. Some of his still remain in my closet for unknown reasons. But I always thought that they would just make me hot. And I was like, I don't want to wear long sleeves whenever it's hot outside. But I really like them, and they just offer a little bit extra.
I've used those, some, not a whole lot. I probably should use them more than I do, but I bought our son his swimsuit and made sure that it had the long, because that's usually when he's exposed more in the water and things like that. So I do think that that's a good idea.
Yeah, we're big on rash guards, which I think that's what it's called. There's sometimes short sleeves, sometimes long sleeves, but the boys, especially when they were little, they always swam in those, so more of them was covered. And my oldest, he likes it now too, because he is prone to burning, and so he likes to stay covered. But for all of my mistakes that I made younger with the oils and the tanning beds and all of the things that none of us realized were causing so much damage, I am really, really cognizant of how I cover up myself now in the sun. Like I said, I use the sunscreen stick on my face, and then I layer it with makeup that has more sunscreen in it. I'm always wearing a hat if I'm going to be outside for a amount of time. I mean, like, if I'm traveling, I wear a hat in the airport to go where I'm going to make sure I have it with me. And I just try to make sure that I stay covered. If I'm on the beach, I'm under an umbrella the majority of the time. We didn't realize how important it was then, so I'm trying to make up for it now. So I too, Joni, am very pale. And if you see any color on me, it's going to be from like a lotion that's tinted that gave me a little color and it's going to wash off later. So
Yeah, I mean, we all enjoy like being outside, especially summertime, but we also got to take in consideration now that we do have this information. Now, when I was growing up, we didn't think about skin cancer as much, but now that we do know, we need to make sure we prevent, because I want to be outside, and if I'm outside, I know I got to protect myself. So, because I don't want to stay inside the rest of my life, so.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, because I think it's something to definitely think about, but also I think it's something hard to avoid.
Yes.
Because my son loves being outside, and I will lather that kid every 2 hours, but he still has a tan. And he has my complexion, which I tan very easily. I hardly burn. I do burn if it's severe, and I feel so bad about it, but I do all that I can. We haven't done the long sleeve stuff, which we can always do that more, but it's going to happen. Yeah. But just taking precautions and attempting to lessen it, I think, is important.
Yeah.
And something we've been more aware about lately as well, because we have a friend who is a dermatologist, and so some tips we didn't know about, but check the UV ray level. You can see it usually on your phone, on your weather app. You can scroll down and it'll tell you what the number is, and there's a chart, and it can tell you if it's low or moderate or high, and that lets you know how long you can be in the sun without being burnt. And what we've been told is, get your kids outside early in the morning, because those rays are lower. The UV level is usually pretty low, and you can be fairly safe even without sunscreen from until about 10 in the morning. So if your kids want to get out there and you want to have some freedom from having to do all the covering up, check to make sure it is low. But then that's a good time for some freedom, like at the pool or outside or whatever. Maybe have a brunch picnic instead of later in the day. And then knowing that, usually 10 to 2 or 2 to 6 or a little bit higher, and then it starts going back down again. But we never thought to check that number, but that can really kind of help guide you on how safe you need to be.
Yeah, I recognize that. It may have been like last weekend or the weekend before. I was looking at the weather app, and it was like UV rays are like 99, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I did some research, and I was like, oh, okay. So we did go outside, but we stayed in the shade, and it wasn't very long, so we did make adjustments. But yeah, definitely to pay attention to that.
I'm glad you guys had what you just mentioned, because that was some of my tips that I was going to share, so you guys have already got some of them tips on out there. So, wearing protective clothing, we talked about that. There is certain clothing out there that you can wear that does protect you. Also, using that broad spectrum of sunscreen, make sure that it is 30 SPF or higher. And I like, Tiffany, how you said that, you put the sun, the stick on your face and plus extra makeups. A lot of makeups now does put sunscreen in there to protect your face as well. And I also wear a hat too, because my hair is very thin on top, and I burn really bad. Even if I'm going to be out just sitting outside, maybe not doing anything, I always try to protect myself that way. Seeking shade, talking about the UV rays and that. So got to make sure that you are in the shade. Not only that, you can also have a heat stroke from too much far as heat, being out in the heat and that. So just protecting yourself from that as well. The hottest, like Tiffany just said, is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the hottest part of the day. So another thing, wearing a hat. We've already talked about that, covering up. And some people also, one of my middle son, his ears always burnt the worst. He'd have a hat on, but his top of his ears. So we always made sure we lathered his top of his ears really a lot, because they do get burnt too. So just remember, if you're wearing a hat, that it covers your ears, or that you put sunscreen on there as well.
Yeah, and that it's like a wide brim hat. And if it's woven, I've found like you have to be careful, because if it's a kind of an open weave, then it'll get through, and then you'll just burn in a pattern instead of actually covering up. So you want to make sure like it's either a tight weave or it's lined under the brim, so that the sun's not getting through, and then because you don't want to make the effort and then still have the same problem.
Yeah. Have y'all ever thought about sunglasses?
I definitely wear sunglasses.
Yeah, I wear them all the time. I have very sensitive eyes. Even if it's not bright out, I have to have them.
But I've never really thought of it in a protecting my eyes from the sun because I don't want to squint and all that. But I've never really thought about it in this aspect.
Right. Keeping your eyes protected from the UV rays, you're going to have a lesser likely of having cataracts. So I thought that was very interesting myself. I wear glasses. I used to years ago be able to wear contacts so I could wear any type of sunglasses. But now I have to wear my glasses all the time. So this time when I went back to the eye doctor, I said, okay, I've got to have sunglasses. I'm like you, Tiffany. Like if I'm in my car, my sun visor is down all the time, regardless if it's sunny or not. And so this time they's like, well, do you want a certain type of sunglasses? I said, yes, I want the best to be able to protect my eyes. And actually there's several different types of sunglasses that, are good for you and that are per se not really. So just keep that in mind that you do want a certain type of sunglass to protect your eyes from them UV rays.
Yeah, and it's interesting that this came up because my sister is a nurse and she's recently taken a job working for an eye surgeon. And she was just telling me a few weeks ago that she scrubbed in on a surgery for a gentleman who had melanoma in his eye. And that never even occurred to me that was somewhere you could get melanoma. So it's a big deal. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to have that done. My eyes are, our eyes are valuable, and man, that doesn't sound fun. So sunglasses are an easy fix, and hey, they're cute. So we can accessorize while we take care of ourselves.
Most definitely, because you think about sun safety protecting your body, your skin. You don't think about your eyes, but it's also very important that you protect against, far as the sun with your eyes as well. As we go outside, we love playing outside with our kids or just being active outside, swimming, just whatever it may be. We got to make sure that we protect ourselves, and just these simple little tips that we've talked about, can help us a very long way from protecting possibly getting cancer. Doesn't mean you're going to, but there's a possibility you can if you don't protect yourself from the sun. Kind of switching gears just a little bit from sun safety, we're going to talk about far as being hydrated, drinking water. This is the summer months that kids are out playing sports. We're outside far as enjoying our families, maybe hiking, kayaking, whatever it may be. We also need to think about drinking water. If we're putting water into our bodies, that's going to help us stay hydrated instead of dehydrated. There's a lot of times through the summer that people do get dehydrated because they don't think that they need to drink plenty of water. Water is the most important part of the human body. In addition to other things, the body needs water to flush toxins out of important systems and deliver nutrients to cells. If you don't drink enough water, your body can get stressed. This can make you feel dizzy, tired, have a burning headache, or because your body can't cool down properly. Along with sun safety, staying hydrated is the most important throughout the hot days of summer. Have any of you all far as been dehydrated before?
I have one time when, of course, I'm sure I'm dehydrated probably more than I like to admit. But one time just sticks out in my mind when I was in high school. Our church group went to this big concert series, and we were there, tent camp, did all the things, and I didn't drink water, and I passed out. And they were like, have you been drinking water? And I was just like, no, I didn't think about it. Middle school, teenage, you don't think about those type of things. But it has stuck with me since then, so I'm always like, water to everybody. So yeah, it has happened, and it happens quick too.
Yeah, before you realize it, you've already had it,
Yeah, I think I'm probably living 90% of my life dehydrated. I don't think I get enough fluids, and I have some medical conditions that make it hard for me to stay hydrated as well. So I know I need to go out of my way, and it's still difficult to stay hydrated properly.
And I just think, just like you said, it's difficult. We don't think about it. We get busy or we're outside doing whatever, and we're not thinking about all the effort that it would take to go inside to grab something to drink. So just carrying it with you, it can be really helpful. And looking around the room, we all carry our water with us and have to take a pause, a water break every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, like you all said, I mean, it happens before we even realize it. 60% of our body weight is made up of water. You know, a lot of people don't realize that, but it is, you know, because water plays a very important role in our body, not only just for us to stay hydrated, but it also has different functions. You know, we've got brain health, it changes our mood, you know, it also far as helps with our digestive tract. So we need that water regardless if it's summertime or not. We always have heard, 8 cups of water each day is what we need. And that's not always the case either, because it depends on our body, who we are. It could all change. You know, that they make glasses, which is 64 ounces a day. Each person needs are different, and it depends on the heat, the humidity, and also exercising. So
I also think we farm, and I grew up on a farm, and a lot of times farmers in general, they tend to, what I've experienced, they will take stuff with them. But I think setting people up to do that, whether you have a huge water jug or you have a sports drink or whatever that may be available, because when you're out there working and you're in the middle of the field, you're not going to say, I need to go fill up my water cup. You know, do I have it with me? Is it there? And I think that's, you know, for them, and then for our kids too, just making sure you're set up and you're prepared makes it a lot easier to drink more water when you need it.
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. Some of the 6 tips that we can do to stay hydrated is being aware of the weather conditions. Today it's sunny and the wind's kind of blowing. And it's not raining, which I wish it was, because we need rain. But you know, we gotta prepare. Like you said a while ago, we all got our water in here, so we're looking outside. We got to make sure that we have that water with us. After the sun goes down, while temperatures hover over 70 to 80 degrees, your body will remain warm and needs hydration. So just because you're not outside, your body still needs that to be hydrated even whenever you're inside the house. So remember that regardless if you're outside, inside, you still need that water each and every day. Also consider your levels of activity. I may be swimming in the pool. You guys may be playing another sport or just hockeying, walking, whatever it may be. We need to make sure we take that into consideration. And Amanda, I'm glad that you mentioned that, you know, of bringing it with you, because we may not be where we're able to get far as water. So we need to make sure we bring it with us, whatever that situation may be.
When you said the pool, that I had a thought. We tend to hydrate when we know we need to. So when we're sweating and our body feels thirsty, we know we're going to take a drink. But if you're swimming, your body is probably pretty cool, so you don't feel like you're losing all of the liquid from your body because you're cool. So that made me think, hey, we need to make sure that we are taking that water to the pool and taking those breaks.
Yeah, that made me think of something. Someone once told me, if you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. Like if your body is telling you, I need fluids, you're already there. And so I think it's important to realize, like, don't wait till you're thirsty. Be drinking throughout the day. Like, I think the goal is to not be thirsty. And then you know, okay, my body is hydrated the way it should be. But I don't think we're ever really taught that, or we think about it that way. We just think, oh, I drink when I need it, but we shouldn't need it.
Yeah, I mean, and not only being hydrated or getting dehydrated, another thing we need to think about is having heat strokes. You know, when it is really hot outside and you're in the hottest time of the day, you could also have a heat stroke. Regardless of what age it is, we need to make sure that we stay, you know, in a cool place outside, not directly in the sun for a long period of time, making sure we drink that water because that helps prevent us from having a heat stroke. I had a friend that had actually had a heat stroke, and he still far as struggles with being out in the heat now, even from that. So he's had lasting effects to him because of that as well. Drinking plenty of liquids. We've talked about water over and over and over again, making sure that we get it. But we also need to stay away from caffeinated beverages. I'm going to tell on myself. You was talking about water in our bottles. Well, actually, I have a Diet Mountain Dew. It's kind of my number one thing that I drink, but I have to make myself drink that water instead of put my Diet Mountain Dew in there. So, I'm just being real. Y'all all have water. I have a Diet Mountain Dew. But we need to avoid them caffeinated drinks, especially when we're going to be exerting ourselves outside, that they are not good for us. That water is the main thing that will protect us from being dehydrated. Eating foods with high water content, as I was doing this research and I was looking and seeing, I was like, oh yeah, watermelon, cantaloupe, strawberries, along other types of fruits and vegetables, they have water content in them. And, that's another good way to get water. Does that take the place of water? Absolutely not. That just gives you a little bit extra more far as in our bodies by eating these foods. Vegetables with high content, maybe cucumbers, iceberg lettuce, are very high. Celery, tomatoes, zucchinis are next. And then there's broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, sweet peppers, and spinach. And also carrots or peas are among them vegetable type that has water in them. Just to throw out the rest of the fruits, we've got our watermelon, cantaloupe, strawberries, and also we have raspberries, pineapple, plums, apricots, and peaches that are lower in that water content as well.
I think it's interesting as you were sharing that, I was thinking the majority of those produce on your list, like they're in peak season during the hottest parts of the year. So it's like nature is preparing us to get more water intake when we need it the most. So I think that's just kind of a cool little thing I noticed.
Yeah. Farmers markets throughout the whole state of Kentucky is going, strong, and it will continue on as summer months continue down. So if you're worried about that water content, go to your local farmers market and get some of these fruits and vegetables that I just talked about. Dressing wisely, as we talked about a while ago, not all summer clothes is created equally to keep you cool. The best over fabric is made of cotton, which also allows air to circulate through fibers and fibers. This makes heat more bearable, and other good fabric choices are lined and rayon. Ashley, as you was talking about taking your husband's clothes, I'm talking about they just showed up.
Magically show up in my closet.
Showed up, that there is clothes out there that does help as far as to stay cool. So if you're interested in them, kind of look at what they're made of, read their label, and, research far as what clothes are the best for not only for yourself, but for your family as well. And just remember, as you're going throughout the summer months, you want to make sure that you stay hydrated and that you are protecting yourself from sun safety. So thanks for joining us today. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.